Good morning, Cyber Warriors. Do you know how to find an active user that's malicious connected to your system? And do you know how to get rid of them? I don't mean just disabling or removing that account that they're using. I'm talking about kicking them off when they're on without interfering with your SLAs by rebooting a service or rebooting the server. There's another way to do that, and we're going to walk through that today. So here we have our compromised system, and we have these malicious remote hosts. So I'm going to connect in real fast. Okay, I am in, and I'm going to get in this one as well. Okay, and when you connect over SSH into a Windows system, it automatically dumps you into CMD. You know that I'm in PowerShell from this end, from my remote end, but on the distant end through this connection, I'm in the regular CMD. So PowerShell commands do not work. Doesn't recognize it. Solution is run PowerShell. And you'll see that I now have a PowerShell prompt here. And so I have a script to maintain presence on the system. So I want to take a look at it and make some changes, perhaps. So I'm going to get to where that is. And I hit it in the public just because reasons. So Notepad, persistence. The reason why that doesn't work is because Notepad requires you to have an interactive login, like a remote desktop session. This isn't. This is a command line session, so you have to use a command line tool. Do you know of a tool to edit in command line for PowerShell directly through that, like Nano or VI? I don't off the top of my head, but I do know one for regular command prompt. And luckily, I'm in a regular command prompt over here. So I'm going to go back to that same directory. So let's go into there, and I'm going to edit. And this is the persistence PS1 script. So this allows me to go in and make changes if I want to the different things. Okay. So now we have the ability to do different things, and the commands that didn't work earlier. So let's get local user. You see that here we are in my hacker.jim, which is true. He's compromised account. Don't trust that they're going to have that in the description. So we're going to move this off to the side here a little bit, and we're going to start working from the good guy side of things. We want PowerShell, but we want to run PowerShell as an administrator so we can do things to what we suspect are bad people on our systems. So what's one of the first things you want to do to see if someone's connected to your system? Well, let's take a look at what is listening on your system. Okay, so let's get Get-NetTcpConnection, where the state is listen. So your local ports are the ones we want to pay attention to. And we can ignore all of this. This is all IPv6 stuff. These are the IPv4 things. These are the things we need to be paying attention to. So there's something connected to 139. All right, but we have SSH here. We're going to take a look at SSH. Well, actually, that's listening. That's not connected. That's listening. Sorry. So let's take a look at port 22. So we're going to take and we're going to look at established. What's established? Okay, most of it is 443. These are background things that are happening, but we have local port stuff, which is at port 22 again. So let's go a little bit more refined. So we're going to define our local port 22, and it just comes to these settings here. But we need to know more. So how can we pull more information about, like, what's running on SSH? Well, let's grab that command and we're going to pipe it to select, and we're going to grab our remote address, local port, owning process, and state. Okay, so we see the owning process is 3444. Does that tell us much of anything at all? Not really. It doesn't tell us much. We assume it's SSH, but we can't be really sure. So we're going to just verify it. Get process, where the ID is 3444. So if I just tried SSH, we would not have been able to get this, but now we know for sure the process name is SSHD. Okay, so let's take a look at SSHD. So we're going to go back up. We're going to get rid of this and process name SSHD. And you see there's more associated with that than there was before. So how do we know who's connected to any of these? Well, Get Process actually has something we can do and include the username. That helps us identify who's connected over those particular services or those processes. NT authority, okay, that's the background. That's the system running those services. But we have this user, hacker.jim. So we're a new admin. We don't know everybody. So maybe James Hacker is a legitimate user. Let's take a look. So we're going to get local user. And we're going to see that hacker.jim is here. His account is enabled. Helpfully, he told us it's a compromised account, but don't trust that, right? So make sure that you understand. So look in your list of authorized users to make sure that this is an authorized user. We happen to know that it's not. But what we don't know is what level of permissions that this guy is in and what groups he's part of. And so there's a lot of different local groups, right? So we want to take a look at all the local groups. That's a bunch. And we can go into each and every one of those looking for hacker.jim if we needed to. And we do this one at a time. Group, administrators. Sure enough, hacker.jim is in the administrators group. So one of the things you should be doing at each of these stages is writing down all of the different things, right? So your remote address, we know the bad guy's coming from this. We know that they're on this process, on this port. These are all things you should be noting, writing physically down. We know that is the process SSHD. Okay. We know that hacker.jim is running, a couple of different SSHD processes. That to me tells me that he's probably doing more than one thing at a time. So we probably want to make sure that we check out all of these things. But we also have to identify where he is. Now we could do it one at a time, like we just did. But that's not very efficient. Let's do this intelligently through the pipeline. All right. So you get the local group. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we are going to, sorry, I got my notes up here. And we're going to take that output of the local group. You see all of that stuff. And we're going to push it to where object. Remember, question mark is shorthand for where object. I'm not going to type all that stuff. Sorry. And so we're going to do a series of commands. So we have to have a curly bracket in front. So get local group member group. And we want the name of that group, right? So this is the local group, and this is the output, which is the name. So for here, we're going to do $_period name. Okay. And we want to give it an error action just in case it makes a mistake somewhere. So let's do ErrorAction silently continue, so that it will continue to process whatever it needs to do. And we want to take that output, which would give us, if this was the administrators group, it would give us this stuff here. And we want to take a look at this name where anything matches hacker.jim, right? So we're going to take this output, which is taking this, and we're going to pipe it to another where, and we're going to do another command with a curly brace inside of it. And it is where the name, the output in here, name. So $_ name. And we're going to match. Oops. It is not a $. There we go. Match hacker.jim. We're going to close this curly brace to here, but we have another curly brace, which is over here, so we need another one. Okay. Now we can run this command, and it'll tell us each of the groups that hacker.jim is in. So hacker.jim is in administrators, and he's also in the Hyper-V administrators. So this is important to know. This is something else you want to jot down and make sure you have that information. So now we know all we need to know about that, except for, what other processes is hacker.jim in? So let's take a look at the running processes. Get process, include username. Include the username. And then we're going to push it to where username matches hacker.jim. This will tell us all of the different things that that person's connected to. Wow, that's a lot, right? So we ran Notepad, no interactive, so it didn't work. So we've got edit running, we have CMD, we have PowerShell, and we have 2 instances of SSHD. So take a screen capture of this, put it in your notes. This is all stuff you're going to need for a forensics report later. Okay. So now we want to bump them off, right? We want to get this person off of there. But wait, we haven't done anything to that account yet. We haven't removed it from those administrator groups. We haven't done any of those things. We need to make sure that we're doing that. Okay. So let's remove them from the administrators groups first, right? So we have that output, and it gives us the names of those 2 different things. So let's remove local group member group. Actually, I think we need to do it like this. Member hacker.jim. I think that'll work. No, that didn't work. That's all right. We can actually just grab this portion, group administrators, hacker.jim, and then the other one that we had was Hyper-V administrators. And now Jim is gone from those. Let's just verify, and he's gone from those. So now Jim is no longer in the administrators group, right? Well, see, the account is still enabled, and Get. Actually, I'm not going to get that. I'm just going to do something here. Add local group member group administrators member hacker.jim. See, it didn't error. So let's run this command again. Jim's back in there, but he can only do that if he's an administrator. But we got rid of him from the administrators group. How can we do this? The reason why is because your identity is established on the system when you first log in. So that means that even though someone disabled it, while I'm still connected through here and through here, I still have those original permissions that I had when I first logged in. So that's a huge thing to remember when you're looking at this stuff and trying to work from them, because you need to make sure that the accounts are disabled or removed from all of the different groups and things before you kick that person off. Because if they're still on, they can reestablish all the things you had fixed. So let's disable that account. Disable local user. And the name is hacker.jim. So now, local users, we see that hacker.jim is disabled. This is good enough for now. We probably, in the real world, will wind up removing that account. But for right now, forensically, we need to just simply disable it so that when we break this guy's presence, they can't get back in immediately. So we talked about what they're running, and that was all of these different processes. So we want to boot them off. So let's move this where we can see it a little bit better. All right, so we see that we're connected in the user's public directory. I've got this running. I'm actually just going to go ahead and exit that, so I'm back to the command prompt only. Let's see if it updated. Does it still have edit? Yep, see, it removed edit from there. But we want to make sure that hacker.jim is out and done for sure. So we can stop process. These are all the processes that hacker.jim is. It's going to grab all of those and kill it all pretty much at once. I'm going to tell it to force it to do it, and we're going to give it an error action to silently continue, because that's our favorite way to do things. Boom. It's done. We go back up. hacker.jim is no longer in, and you see here, exit status 0 is out. Connection closed. Done. So let's try to get back in, right? Ooh, connection reset. That means that that account that we tried to use is not allowed. So the stuff that we did over here worked. It broke the connection, and it was able to remove that person and keep them out for now. There are other things you need to do to make sure. What else did they have running? Did they have scripts running? Those are the different things you have to find. So good luck, happy hunting, and I'll see you in the next video.